And that was the magical voice of Adrian Cowan in front of Seven Spires off of their brand new CD, Emerald Seas. The song was called The Trouble with Eternal Life. Before that was Nightwish with their new track Noise off of the upcoming CD Human Nature. Sasha Paith's Masters of Ceremony with Weight of the World off of Signs of Wings. Before that, also with Adrian Cowan on vocals. And Diabolus and Musica with Blind Muse off of Euphonic Entropy. And those three of those four are brand new tracks. The Sasha Paith's CD came out last year, but it's relatively new, I guess. But that wraps up mostly metal for now. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. Thanks for tuning in to WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's time to switch gears, as I often do here on these Sunday nights, and trade another hour of heavy metal for some talk about wrestling. And I'm joined in the studio by representatives from Project Revolution Wrestling, and in just a second we are going to talk about their upcoming show next week at Inman, so stay tuned.
Your insubordination will not be tolerated.
And welcome to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. There's, not much of a transition other than me stopping talking about music and then playing intro music and now talking about wrestling, but thanks for sticking around. I'm Ken the Metal Professor, and I am joined in the studio here on WVLP with Ariana Jefferson and John Francis from Project Revolution Wrestling. Thank you guys very much for coming in to visit the station.
Thank you for having us, Ken.
Is everything comfortable? Sounds good in the headphone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So far, so good.
Microphone's working.
So far, so good.
Okay. All right. So we've got a lot of things to talk about. And the reason you're here is because next weekend, Project Revolution Wrestling is having their second show at Inman's Bowling and Recreation Center right out there on Evans Avenue, probably about all of like 5 minutes from the station here. In Valpo, it's 5 minutes from everything, so there's no excuse not to go there. So we're going to talk about the history of PRW, because I know it's not familiar to many people that have been watching wrestling in this area, because they're have been based in Illinois. Is that right, for the most part?
Yes. Chicago Heights is
Chicago
pretty much
Heights.
our home base.
Okay. So we're going to get into how long you guys have been around and what's been going on and why coming to Valpo and just all the stuff that brings you here. And then once we get through all that, we'll talk about the show that's coming up in particular.
Absolutely. So PRW started as IUWA more than 20 years ago now. It was started by Ivan Tooks, also known as Chi-Town T. He was trained at Windy City when it was a big promotion in Chicago, and he decided to start his own Fed, IUWA, and at some point we went through a brand change. It became Project Revolution Wrestling, where we just try to bring a newer brand of wrestling to the Northwest Indiana, Northeast Illinois area, just focusing more on homegrown talent instead of the same old people, and making sure that there's a good story and a good show for all the fans.
Maybe this is diving a little too deep into the name, but it's Project and Revolution. Is there something about each of those words? I mean, what's changing? What's the revolution? And you've already touched on the project, but
the revolution is that we see what's happening in the wrestling business, and I'm a fan of wrestling no matter what style it is. We just feel that a lot of the story, the heart, is not there in professional wrestling anymore. And this is just my opinion. This is no offense to anyone out there who wrestles or wants to be a wrestler or is a fan of a certain promotion. There's no hard feelings or bad blood here. There's just, we feel like we have a brand to kind of revolutionize this area with a different kind of storytelling and a little more of an old school feel. to our wrestling, a little more hard hitting. It's a different kind of experience, and we like to show that off as often as possible.
Okay. That's been John Francis you've listened to. Ariana Jefferson is here. She is somebody I know as the ring announcer extraordinaire of PRW. I visited the PRW show at Inman's. That was back in November.
Yeah.
That was your first foray into Inman's, and now you're coming back next weekend, which is great. And so I didn't know, I recognized a couple of people that were working, but didn't really know anybody. I just sort of walked in with my deer in the headlights look and sat down with my mic and started recording, and everybody was looking at me like, what the heck are you doing here? But you had your hands kind of on the show from beginning to end in terms of running people in and out of the ring, not necessarily being in charge of stuff, but doing all the announcements and doing the commentary live in the arena while the matches are going on, which isn't something I'm used to doing. How do you like that?
I enjoy it. It keeps me on my toes, to be sure. I guess I think about it, when I was younger, I was always kind of like running around doing a bunch of different like extracurricular activities and also like studying at school, and I need to keep moving, and I guess that's probably why this is actually pretty suitable for me, because I would get bored very easily just doing one thing. It is nice when I get to slow down a little bit on other days, and trying to create space for me to be able to be more effective when I am there on days of shows, because I am oftentimes. So just a little story for myself. I started when it was still IUWA, but not long before that switched over to PRW as a ring announcer. And I've also been in the ring as a wrestler. I was previously the women's champion, actually, before the current women's champion had won it from the last one, DJ to Disaster. Our current ladies champion, of course, being the fabulous Breezy Van Buren. And I always enjoyed being behind the scenes, being part of it, being able to talk about what's going on, being that conduit to the audience about what exactly they're seeing, being the voice of PRW basically at this point. And as I've been there, as my time at the company has grown, so has my responsibilities, because I want everyone to have a good time. I want it to be very clearly communicated what the story is that people need to understand about why what they're seeing is happening. And part of that requires a little bit of consistency. And so that's kind of where my role comes in. And again, just wanting to be on my toes, and I want to get the exercise, so apparently I like running around and talking to everyone and making sure to be the conduit between the audience and the wrestlers and the story they're trying to tell.
Do you find it easy, too easy, not easy enough to become invested in what's going on in the ring, or do you try to keep yourself a little detached from it?
I try to keep myself detached. Sometimes it's difficult just because of some of the things that you see when people are doing things that aren't appropriate, or when you have you're invested in what's going on in the ring, and then it goes someplace different. The person that you wanted to win doesn't, and trying to keep that all together and being as neutral as possible when trying to call it. And commentary, and even sometimes being in the ring as ring announcer, when people try to intimidate you or that sort of thing, make the crowd be quiet while they try to pray, like the Arabian Sheik does sometimes. It's about having composure and being a professional. That's what I do.
Okay, so is that a regional thing with the commentary, the live commentary in the room? Because we were talking before we went on the air, and I mentioned that I go to most of the time I'm going to shows in sort of the northern, north central, northwest Indiana region, and I hadn't seen that before until recently when I went to one show that was in far Illinois, out by now I can't even remember the name of the town, but it's like way the heck out west of Chicago. And then you guys here in Valpo, but you're kind of, coming from Illinois and then coming to Valpo. That's the only 2 times I've ever seen that. So I'm wondering if it's sort of is it an Illinois regional thing, or
maybe it's always been like that. Even before I was started to work with IUWA, we had the previous articulator. I believe he would do that.
Yeah.
Is that Articulator SK? Is that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's when you're someone big like WWE or something like that, for example, then it's easy to have the announcers on the TV. And when you go there, you're not going to hear the announcers, but you kind of know everybody. You know all the stories. You know what's going on if you go to a live show.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of atmosphere. Whereas a lot of indie crowds, they're kind of new. There's a lot of people who have.
Definitely.
There's a guy I met at the meet and greet yesterday, never been to a wrestling show before. And now he may be coming to his first this Saturday. So when he gets there, he's not going to know what the stories are, or who the characters are, and all that. So we have that live commentary. That way the audience can kind of know what's been going on in the previous shows, or what's going on in the ring. Why is this substantial? Because this happened recently, yada, yada, yada.
I think actually that may explain a little bit about why I'm so dedicated to the idea of trying to create this, make sure that it's very clear what we're communicating to the audience, because at some point I was that person back before I started working, and me and my husband were just dating, and I was going to the wrestling shows. The very first one I went to, I had no idea what's going on.
Right.
No clue what I was supposed to be reacting to, what I was supposed to understand, what I was supposed to and be invested in. And it's helpful having that commentary. To me, it was helpful having it to try and better understand it. I was still a little lost because I don't know who these people are. I've never seen them before. All of this is very new to me, but the more I went, the more it started to make sense because of that consistency. And the ones that I didn't become as invested in as an audience member were the ones whose stories were harder to tell or weren't being told either in the ring or by the commentary. And granted, the commentary is there to definitely help, supplement, because the story needs to be told by the men or women in the ring. But having that backstory, that's why when you watch bigger promotions like WWE and they have the highlight video to get you hyped up for what you're getting ready to watch, that definitely still helps. And so that's something that I've definitely been trying to do as part of working as that conduit, as trying to translate all of this to media in some way, is trying to communicate this as clearly as possible, translate it, as it were, for those who may be a little new to the weirdness that is wrestling.
Does it flow pretty well for you? Because in here, if I suddenly find myself at a loss for words, I just play a song. do you find that it flows pretty well? Are you able to kind of stay in it and keep it going?
I feel like for the most part, but it definitely helps to have others. When there have been times where I was the only person doing commentary, and that's a little hectic just in of itself, of doing commentary and ring announcing, and possibly also helping out with music, and possibly having to be the communicator for people behind the stage, or behind the ring, or behind the curtain. I mean, but when there's other people to play off of, to talk to, who can also contribute their knowledge of the long storied past of the 2 people who are in the ring, or 3 or 4 people who are in the ring, or how it relates to another upcoming match or show that we're going to be doing, just kind of fill in the gaps of the history of PRW to help the audience who are there to be able to understand what they're experiencing. That's certainly helpful. And I absolutely appreciate it every time. So
good. So let's talk for a little bit about sort of that storied past of PRW. You mentioned it evolved out of an earlier group. So who are some of the longest running workers that people might be the most familiar with? Kind of the mainstays.
Okay. So I have been in IUWA PRW for 8 years myself. There's Ryan Shadows, former YouTube champion of ours, who has been around. God, he's got to be going on 10 years now.
That's really wow.
There's Chris Kranick, who took a little bit of some time off, but he was there when I was coming up.
David Slater,
my old tag team partner, tag team champions together. Really good guy too. He just moved back actually, so he's starting to come back, but he's been around forever. Willie the Bomb Richardson, who was Chi-Town T's tag team partner over in Windy City, and they made a pretty big name for themselves. He's been around as long as I've known him. So those
Mad
kinds
Dog
of
Jack and Cody Biggs.
Yeah, Mad Dog Jack and Cody have been around for a while. Those are pretty. Oh, and Sean McLeod himself, our PRW champion.
Course.
Yeah, hey, no one really cares about him. That's fine.
Okay, John.
So he's been around. I mean, I helped teach him, which he tends to forget sometimes when he wants to run his mouth. But he's been around for a while as well. So yeah, we have some nice talent that's been there for a while. However, I'll tell you what's more exciting to me is these new guys coming up. Guys like is he still calling himself Buff Daddy?
Yes, as far as
That's
how I am.
Okay, so
him still,
Buff
yes.
Daddy, the only attraction,
Rodney Jackson. Yes.
He's a fantastic talent. And he's going to be someone to watch out for as I claim my PRW championship again this Saturday. Sorry, was that kind of forced in there? I was hammed in there a little bit. Okay. So he's fantastic. You got guys like Primal, Estrada, and CMB who's looking to run roughshod on the tag team division right now. Akua himself, who beat me last time we were in Valpo, beat me straight up, which I'm sure we'll go into a little later. He's huge. And then, of course, one of my favorites to watch right now, I just hate being in the ring with him because he hits so dang hard, John Scrutch. He's another one who's just a huge rising star. And I'm telling you, the talent we have on the young side is starting to match the talent we have on the old side. And whenever you get that in a professional wrestling setting, it kind of creates this perfect storm of amazing matches, amazing shows. So I'm really excited for what the next year holds for PRW.
Let's not forget a couple of our champions either.
Mike
Balls,
the fabulous Breezy Van Buren. I mean, they're champions, of course. I mean, there's a reason they're champions. I just wanted to shout out some of the ones that popped in my head, but yeah, they're great.
Well, and that's a good segue. So, I was trying to avoid possibly, a touchy situation, but you brought it up in terms of the title scene.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the YouTube Championship, the PRW. Do you guys call it the PRW Heavyweight or the World Championship or just the PRW?
It's the PRW Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
There's Undisputed in there somewhere, but it's the formal title is the PRW Undisputed Heavyweight Championship, but usually it's referred to as the Heavyweight Championship or the title.
It's referred to as the title.
And you got the tag team
women.
So
Championship.
How many titles are there in circulation right now, and who are the current?
Right now we have the 24/7,
24/7 squared.
which is it can be won and lost at any time. The reason it's called 24/7 squared is because you can win and lose at any time, but you have to be in the ring.
With
so
a
you
referee.
have to be in the squared circle.
Okay.
With a referee.
With a referee. So that one's a fun one. We have our cruiserweight. We have our women's tag team.
Our
cruiserweight is Jake St. Patrick right now.
Okay.
We have our women's, the fabulous Breezy Van Buren. 24/7 squared is JJ Harris, actually. You probably know him around from.
Is he IWA also?
He was PRW. But he's been around for a long time.
Almost as long as it's been PRW.
Yeah, Jake St. Patrick is probably our newest champion.
Yes.
He's been in for a while.
JJ Harris, though, has been around since probably PRW's PRW, not IWA.
Yeah.
And I do know him if he's the JJ Harris, but I might know him with one less J.
Yes, you might. He's had a lot of run-ins with RK Savage around this area.
They started tag team
Renegades
partners.
of Wrestling, Row. So they're extremely talented wrestlers. God, we have the tag team champions who are right now Chad Skywalker and Ghost from
Ghost Guns and Spirits.
Yeah, Ghost Guns and Spirits. They are really good. They just beat the Disciples of Darkness, Crazy Scott. You might remember him from the last show.
Yep. If there is one thing that I remember vividly from that show, it's listening to him.
To leave an impression.
Hey, as long as he does that. And then we have our YouTube champion in Mike Balls, who has
American YouTube, yes.
And he was announced from Valpo.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we all got to root for him.
Right down the road.
He is right
down the road. He is a hometown hero of Valparaiso. I've picked him up a few times.
Him and his partner.
5-10 minutes from here.
Him and his partner, they're not tag team champions, but his partner,
David Dixon.
Well, who is going by EMP these days.
Oh, yeah.
So
kind of missed Dixon and Balls.
Their partnership has probably been dissolved formally, but they are not necessarily. They're still tagged.
Yeah, they're
as
still
far
friends.
as I understand.
Cool. And then we have our heavyweight champion, Sean McLeod.
So something happened in between the last Valpo show and now? Is that?
Yes. So if you weren't at the last Valpo show, what basically happened was me and Akua went to war. I mean, we tore that house down. I got a little frustrated because he just would not stay down, to be fair. So I eventually grabbed a chair and decided I was just going to hit him over the head. I was just going to get the DQ, keep the title, and we'll just move on. Because this guy wasn't staying down. And my lovely wife over here, Ariana Jefferson, decided to come to the ring and put a hold on my aggressiveness. So I ended up throwing the chair away, and he hit me with his discus elbow, which is his signature move, and that was that. He beat me straight up. The better man won. I mean, I can't say anything really bad about it. Well, then the next show, he faced Sean McLeod, who is returning, and, he's always
Former
been...
tag team partner, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Sean McLeod was actually injured earlier last year, and he was just coming back. And Akua kind of went on without him, and it seems like McLeod may have had some animosity because of that. So he came back, he fought him, and... Again, Akua wouldn't stay down. Akua is an extremely resilient guy in that ring. But it didn't seem like Sean McLeod had the conscience that I had that night. So he proceeded to low blow Akua and pretty much steal the heavyweight title away from Akua. And thus he's faced John Scrutch since then. And Scrutch wasn't able to, unfortunately, get the job done, partly because of a crooked ref. But now it's my turn, and there won't be any crooked refs, there won't be any low blows, because that's the thing is what Sean McLeod doesn't understand is I was that bad guy who didn't care before I got married, and everything that he's done, everything he could think of doing that's dirty or underhanded, I've done and mastered and know better than. So he's up against a different animal this Saturday.
I'm curious. How does that? I'm going to throw that out there actually, because there's clearly. Sean McLeod is being clearly backed by Chi-Town T, the owner of the company, who was very much excited about you coming back when we returned for you to be commissioner. So he's clearly backing his boy. I'm curious how that makes you feel. Because you haven't mentioned Chi-Town T West.
With Chi-Town, it's you can never trust him. He's the most two-faced person I've ever met. I mean, 1 month he's backing Sean, the next month he'll be backing me, and he'll just bounce back and forth. But what's really bothering me is he keeps bringing in these old guys. He keeps bringing in all these old names, all these broken down, beaten down wrestlers, and then they have to cheat to beat our young up and coming talent. It's kind of ridiculous at this point, and that's kind of where we're at. We're butting heads at let these new guys have their shot. Let them shine. And then he's just bringing in all these old heads to come in, cheat, put the boots to them, and beat them up. I mean, it's kind of tiring. I mean, I'm honestly getting a little tired of it. So that's kind of what's been going on lately. And because of that, Willie the Bomb, another old, broken down wrestler, is facing John Scrutch. So the very definition of past versus present is happening this Saturday, and that is probably the match I am most looking forward to besides my own, and I can't wait to watch it because Scrutch is going to wipe the floor with him.
Sorry to jump in and do the whole
Do it.
reporter thing. No, for that question, I did also want to point out that we neglected one other championship, which is the brass knuckles, or it's
Brass Knuckles.
championship.
Yeah, I mean it's still out there, but it hasn't been defended in a while, so it may be suspended right now.
Okay.
The champion just hasn't been there. I don't
Formerly,
think so.
previously held by Ryu Shinsaki.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it hasn't been around for a while, so I'm not sure if we're still using that one.
Okay.
It's pretty crowded.
What has the overall lineage of the heavyweight championship been like over the years of PRW? Has it been held by a relatively few number of people, a large number of people?
That's so funny. If you start naming off some of the wrestlers that have held that title, names would jump out to you that you know from going around this area. Names like Just Amazing, Chris Classic, Mark Reconcile,
RK Savage.
RK Savage himself.
I think he was the longest reigning PRW heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he had the longest run. I think Willie's had it.
I don't know if Willie's had it. I don't believe so.
If he did, it was before I came in.
Well, they're all IWA or PRW.
Well, they're all pretty much the same title, honestly. It's a brand change, but it's the same belt. It's the main belt. I mean, it means you're the guy. Yeah. So, I mean, I've held it myself. Sean McLeod's held it. Chris Cable.
Akua,
the Sheik had, oh, God, he was champ for almost a year and a half. So, I mean, it's just names and names and names of guys. Anyone who goes to any of these shows, you'll see at least, you usually see at least one PRW heavyweight champion at any show you go to in this area. So it means a lot. This title has a really long lineage, and it is the title to have in this area. And that's why I'm coming hard for it. I'm tired of playing these games. I'm tired of not having it. I miss it. I miss it, honestly.
Kiss it goodnight before you kiss me.
We don't have to talk about that.
That seems like it might be a good time to interrupt just
there
for
we
a
go,
second.
There we go.
Because it is that time in the hour when I need to remind people that they're listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program here on WVLP, which is 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. I'm Ken the Metal Professor, and I'm joined by John Francis and Ariana Jefferson of Project Revolution Wrestling. And we are talking about the organization and the event that's coming up at Inman's next weekend, and pretty soon I think we'll do the best we can to just go through all the we've already hit on some of the matches that are going to occur, and we'll try to blend them all up. I did want to follow up something that you had mentioned earlier. You can help me get this sorted out in terms of what's been happening. You know, you talked about Chi-Town T sort of bringing in, I don't know if it's people you can call his cronies from past days to try to help, you know, with some elbow grease for himself in the organization. At the show in Valpo back in November, there was a clash between, I guess you could call them a couple of factions, where there was some question about who was really in control of the organization.
Some of the team battle.
I think it was it Disaster?
DJ the Disaster.
I would never be anything but a consummate professional and know everybody's names, but I do remember.
Yeah, I believe someone named John Branson Francis lost his title that night.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So is that kind of part and parcel of the same thing that's going on, or was that a whole different situation that's been resolved now, or?
I think the cracks were starting to show there.
Honestly, that was, you were seeing actually the tail end of a rivalry. It was the council.
That's what it was.
Lady Z.
Okay.
She had DJ the Disaster. At one point, Primal, CMB, and Estrada were part of her lackeys, but a couple shows before that, they had jumped them and kind of exiled them from the council. So that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin. Like, this is Chi-Town's group versus Lady Z's group. But now it seems like Chi-Town's let that go to his head a little bit. And well,
I believe also Lady Z, sensing her loss in power, has been able to somehow finagle this into something in her favor. And
I mean, I haven't seen Lady Z in a couple shows, but I think she may
doesn't
be.
mean she's not
She might
there.
be pulling some strings. You never know.
that doesn't mean she's not there.
Yeah, you never know.
Now, at this show coming up next weekend, you mentioned you're going to be facing Sean McLeod to regain the PRW heavyweight title.
Absolutely.
I'll say when that happens.
Yes.
I should
There we
say
go.
I should be.
There we go. We got someone
we'll
on
say
board.
when that happens. Does Akua get the first chance at taking it back, since his loss of the title sounds like it was a little bit iffy?
You know, it's funny you say that because we actually had a little confrontation, me and Sean did, at the last house show we had a couple weeks ago. And I mentioned to him that when I beat him, Akua will get his shot again. He will be the first one I face at whatever next show it is. It will be me versus Akua, and he will get his straight down the middle, fair fight on whether he should be champion or not. And this time I will not be underestimating him and trying to use a chair, so he better bring his A game.
A game.
There you go. So yes, Akua will get the first shot after
nice.
I win the title on Saturday.
Very nice. We've been throwing around a lot of names,
Yeah.
and Ariana, you've mentioned some of your, some of your responsibilities outside the ring announcing is kind of helping PRW with media and things like that. Is there a good place, say, like YouTube or something, where folks could go and watch some videos of PRW matches, events, things to start learning some of the personnel and some of the names?
Absolutely. We have, of course, our Facebook channel, well, not Facebook channel, Facebook page that they can find us under PRW or official Project Revolution Wrestling. I believe you can search for either of those and it will come up. Then, of course, we have our Instagram account with Project Revolution Wrestling. We have our Twitter feed, PRW Pro Wrestling. And then you can find us under Project Revolution Wrestling and YouTube. And I know, like, when searching for it, it's really important to actually put the full name in because, one, it is, youtube.com/Project Revolution Wrestling. But there are a lot of Revolution projects and Revolution Wrestling and Project Wrestling and Project Revolution, but not necessarily wrestling that's out there when you search for it. I think if you search PRW, it may come up, or
Okay.
PRW Underground specifically, because there was an older version that's now defunct, and then the newer one. The newer one does need to be updated. We've kind of been on a hiatus as we've tried to focus on trying to get things restructured. But you can anticipate more videos going up on the channel starting next month.
Okay, and maybe here's what we can do: is it after we're done here, and I take the show, I edit it for rebroadcast, so this will be on the air again Wednesday night. My 2-hour block starts at 10, so like at 11 o'clock Wednesday night, this conversation will be on WVLP again. But I also clip it out and put it on YouTube, and so maybe at the same time, I'm throwing around that link to YouTube about this conversation. If you or I can come up with a couple of decent links for things on YouTube for people to find it, we can put that in the
absolutely.
announcement as well to help people get around, because it would be great if when people are coming out next weekend to see you guys at Inman's, and this is going to be Saturday, February 22nd, 7 o'clock bell time.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock bell time. Doors at
6:30.
6:30. Okay, but get to Inman's at like 4 and bowl for 2.5 hours.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Have some,
Arcades.
have some beer,
That
play
place
some games.
is a blast.
It
Yeah, it
is.
is.
That place is a
Very much
blast.
so.
Yeah, hats off to Sean Shashelski and his
Absolutely.
crew for what
Very
they've done
much
with that
so.
place.
Absolutely.
Has he been kind of making some noise of his own with you guys?
He has.
I remember
He
a
has.
Burger King hat.
Yeah,
from the last
there was
show.
definitely a Burger King hat.
Him and the Arabian Sheik had a little bit of a confrontation.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think the Sheik might be showing up again. So it'd be interesting to see if we could actually get the full national anthem out this time, and it'd be interesting to see if Sean doesn't shut down the Sheik again. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, other than that, it should still be a great show. But Sean's a great guy, and what he's done with Inman's is amazing.
And
that's a fantastic place of an amazing family atmosphere there, along with still being fun for adults. So it's a great place.
Yeah, so it'll be good to get some of these links out there so that when people come next weekend, they have a sense of who some of the people they might be watching will be. But if we can, let's get into the specifics of the show. If you have as much of a rundown of matches that are going to take place and what we have to look forward to.
Absolutely. Do you have the list there?
I am bringing it up right now.
Fantastic. So if you want to kind of mention what the matches will be, and I'll just give my professional input.
You can pick the winners.
Absolutely. Let's pick the winners. Let's do that.
Well, I don't have the order of what
That's
we're
okay.
showing.
That's all right.
The first match that I can think of right now, I'm going to talk about is the triple threat match. Which is between Hoodfoot Mo Atlas, the current PRW North American YouTube champion Mike Balls. It's for the championship, and then a mystery opponent who hasn't been announced yet. Have you heard?
I've heard rumors.
Okay.
I've heard rumors on who it will be, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes out there. But there's a lot of story there. Hoodfoot Mo is amazing. He's an amazing wrestler. Little bit of a douchebag, but that's okay.
Can you say that on radio?
Can we say a douchebag?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, fantastic.
I guess.
So
hasn't been an issue before, but
so I'm really excited to see him and Mike Balls go at it, because Mike Balls has definitely been a rising star in this company, and this will be a test for him, especially with the fact that he has an opponent that he doesn't even get time to strategize for. So it's going to be interesting to see who that ends up being. God, it could be anyone. Yeah. So we'll have to see who shows up.
Okay,
and maybe Bushwhacker Luke will get in the ring.
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of showing up, you've got at least one special guest coming in.
Absolutely. We've got the WWE legend, Bushwhacker Luke. As soon as I say Bushwhacker, I'm sure at least some of your viewers did the walk with the arms and everything. Now, the Bushwhackers are great.
Now,
so
just to be a boomer, I knew them as the Sheep Herders. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be really, really exciting. What else do we have here?
We also have a tornado tag.
God.
Disciples of Darkness.
A Texas tornado between the Disciples of Darkness and Anarchy Apostles?
Apocalypse.
Anarchy Apocalypse. They're a newly formed team. However, they have gotten on DOD's bad side very, very quickly. They have had a couple matches, and I think DOD's gotten the upper hand for now. But there's a lot of bad blood here.
Okay, and DOD are the gentlemen in orange. Is that right?
No, that's DOC.
Okay.
That's DOC.
There's a lot of abbreviations in
I'm going to get there.
DOD is the Disciples of Darkness. That's Koto Kamiya and Camillo, and it's Crazy Scott.
Okay.
It's with the laugh. So they will be facing off against another team that's kind of all about being roughnecks and about fighting. So it should be pretty violent match, honestly. I expect a pretty good brawl there. Still a PG show. Still a PG show. But that one, I'm kind of excited to see. I think that Anarchy might get the upper hand on this one, just because, DOD's had their number for a while, but this is a match that DOD has never been in. They've never, so the strategy of it kind of changes when both guys are in the ring at the same time. So I really don't know how well Crazy Scott and Kota can work together when they don't have to tag. When one person kind of has control, now both people are going to have control. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how they work together in this kind of a match. So I think I'm going to pick Anarchy to win that one. And for the triple threat, Balls has been on a tear. I think I got to pick Balls on that one. He has been on an absolute tear, though it will be a really big test for him.
So already we've heard about a triple threat match, a tornado tag team match. Has Sean been warned that he might want to make sure the barricades are extra reinforced and all breakable objects have been removed from that area of Inman's?
I'm sure we'll let him know the day of.
Okay.
So what else we got?
Rodney Jackson versus
Buff Daddy
Xavier Cross.
That is going to be interesting. So that's our cruiserweight division. They are, like I said, Buff Daddy himself is a rising star. He can do some things in that ring that I couldn't even dream of doing. And then you have Cross, who I actually faced recently and gave me a heck of a fight. I respect both those guys, and that should be a really good match, but I do not see anything stopping Jackson's momentum right now. I think Rodney Jackson's going to take that one as well.
Oh.
Who else we got?
John Scrutch versus Willie the Bomb Richardson.
Oh, John Scrutch versus Willie the Bomb. Okay, so this one's a little more personal for me because this is all about Chi-Town T's lackeys getting in on the younger talent. And like I've already talked about it a little bit. It's the past versus the present. It is all about old versus new. It's going to be a fantastic match, I think. However, as much as I respect John Scrutch, I've been in the ring with him. He is a hard hitter. He does not go down easy. He's extremely resilient. He has a lot of heart. Willie has some tricks up his sleeve, and I don't know if Scrutch is ready for all that yet. So that one, I'm going to have to pick Willie, but my heart wants Scrutch to win.
I think it's also an interesting contrast in styles, too, because John Scrutch, I mean, to me, he represents as somebody who's, quick and agile and probably very quick thinking, too, it seems. Willie is someone who's going to punch you in the face.
It's never been put better. That has never been put better. That is exactly who Willie is. I am going to punch you in the face. That is perfect.
Oh, I to discuss the Battle Royal from last show, where Willie basically just went around
poking people in the eyes. That's all he did was poke people in the eyes.
Until he got a taste of his own medicine. And
someone poked him in the eye, and then he ran and jumped over the top rope. That one is gonna be a bombshell. That is gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait to watch that one. What else we got?
I think we're into the latter end of the card at this point.
I think we've only got 3 left, actually.
Well, we have the Battle Royal. We have another Battle Royal.
There will be a Battle Royal.
That was fun last time.
There will be a Battle Royal. That one is just we're pretty much just doing a Battle Royal. Kind of see some of the new talent, kind of showcase some of their skills all together. So that one should be interesting. Another side story going on is that I believe the Sheik and his army are going to be in that one. And recently, at the last big show, I believe, the Sheik and his army kicked out Ryu Shinzaki.
The Brass Knuckles champion.
Brass Knuckles champion. Kicked him out of the army. And they all turned on him. So they're all going to be in that match together. So it should be interesting to see what that dynamic goes in, along with any other feuds that may be in there. I haven't heard, has Breezy been cleared yet?
I don't believe so.
So right now, the fabulous Breezy Van Buren, the women's champion, was attacked by DJ to the Disaster at the last show, and there was some tendon damage in the knee. So right now, the fabulous Breezy Van Buren is not cleared to wrestle, unfortunately. But if they are able to get cleared, it would be interesting to see what kind of steps the Breezy takes to come after DJ herself, who should be in the Battle Royal. So that could be an interesting little side story, too, in that. So, but overall, I think I'm going to... God, I don't even know who to pick because there's so many people that are going to be in there. Let me give the Ace of Spades, one of our newer guys. Let me give him a shout out. He's going to win the Battle. He's going to win the Battle Royal. Any old school Attitude Era fans know what I just referenced there, so I'll take that. God, what else? The 6-man.
Yeah, so that was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah, we have a 6-man tag match. Chi-Town T is returning to in-ring action for the first time in a while.
With another mystery opponents.
And I'm sure it'll be some of his lackeys.
Partners, I should say.
So we don't know who his partners are yet, but we do know who he's facing. He will be facing, on the other side, it will be Primal in the big CMB and Estrada, and the former heavyweight champion himself, Akua, will be in that match. So that is another one that I think will tear the house down, and I think it'll be extremely interesting to see who Chi-Town picks as his partners. Because, I mean, if you remember Primal, do you remember Primal from the last show?
I not offhand. I bet if
Okay.
I saw him, I would. Oh yeah, I remember seeing him last
they
time.
they are about 6'4", 6'5".
Something like that.
They're big dudes.
They're up
So you've got two huge dudes, and you've got the former heavyweight champion on one side, and then you got Chi-Town T, who has a bit of the ring and since the Civil War. So who is he going to pick to counter this team?
It sounds like he's going to need some serious backup.
He's going to need someone. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But honestly, I don't see anyone beating that team. That team of Primal and Akua, I don't see anyone beating that team. It's too powerful. I don't see any way that anyone takes that away from them. So I'm going to go with Primal and Akua on that one.
I feel like you're a little biased.
I'm a little biased. I'm not going to lie. I'm biased. I don't like Chi-Town right now. Chi-Town's being an idiot. Sean McLeod's being an idiot. Willie's being an idiot. There's a lot of idiots running around wrestling, but I mean, anyone who's been to any wrestling fed and been behind the scenes know that that's not a news story. So I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased. Fine. I'm a little biased. But you know what? I go for my boys. So it is what it is.
I feel like Chi-Town T has been in this business long enough to know how to pick his winners. And
That's
he knows who's
true.
going to pick to go
He
with him
is
in order to make sure that
shifty.
he stays on top. So
Yes.
I can't discount the fact
You
that...
have a fantastic point.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to rescind my pick on that one, and I'm just going to leave that one open. Because I don't know who Chi-Town's getting. If Chi-Town shows up with Chad Skywalker and Ghost, that's a brand new dynamic now. That's the tag team champions now. I mean, but of course those are younger guys, and that's not really what Chi-Town's all about right now. So we don't know. We don't know who's going to be there. So we're going to find out Saturday exactly who his partners will be. God, what else do we have?
You.
Oh,
The last one.
yeah.
Main event.
That match.
Yep.
So there's actually a little bit of a backstory here. About 3 years ago, Sean McLeod retired me from PRW. We were actually buddies at the time, and I was having a little spat with Chi-Town. History repeats itself. Me and Chi-Town butt heads quite a bit. Still never got in the ring with me though.
That was some shade. I believe that was some shade.
I'm just saying, it's a little cold out there. I figured you could use some shade.
No, that's the opposite. We couldn't use shade. It's cold out there. That's the idea.
Okay.
Yes, dear.
So, so Sean McLeod, so me and Chi-Town were in a little bit of a spat, and we had a 6-man tag match where we faced Sheik's Army, and it was me, Sean McLeod, and Tracy Smothers, which was awesome. I mean, wrestling with Tracy was freaking fantastic. Great guy. So we ended up victorious and everything. And so we're celebrating. We're having fun. Fans are leaving. I mean, this is the end of the show. And Chi-Town comes out and he puts on an impromptu match between me and Sean McLeod. And if I win, I get Sean's title at the time, which I think he was our YouTube champion at the time. And if I lose, I have to leave PRW. So he ended up beating me straight up again. And I had to leave. I left for 2 years. Went down to Indy, wrestled there for a bit. But I couldn't come back to PRW, and it was eating me alive. But then one day, Chi-Town calls me up because of his mood changes, and he asked me to come back and be the commissioner. So I was like, okay, it's an opening into PRW, so cool. And that turned into me feuding with RK Savage, who was kind of running the place at the time. And I had to come in and say, well, you're not running things anymore. This is my show. And it turned into a match between us, which led me to winning my first after 8 years World Heavyweight Championship. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. And then you saw the culmination of it last time at Valpo. So it's a fun fact that Sean has never beaten me in tag team action. And I have never beaten Sean in singles action. Oh. We have faced each other quite a bit. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic there. So it's going to be fun to break that streak this Saturday and become the PRW heavyweight champion again. So I think I'm going to pick myself for
You
that
don't
one.
say.
Sean's not ready. Sean's not ready for this smoke.
Is that the end of the list? I lost count. Is that
6 matches?
6 matches.
Six
Six
matches
matches,
plus
yeah.
the battle royal.
Okay.
Should be
Is it
6
plus or
matches
is
total.
it battle royal included in there?
That's included.
I think
It's
so.
5 matches plus the battle royal.
I feel like we're missing one.
Cruiserweights,
Cruiserweights.
tag team,
Uh-huh.
triple threat,
6-man.
Willie,
William Cross
6-man.
and yours. Plus battle royal. Don't
I math really good.
don't come at me with about math.
I know how to math.
Come at me about math. Do you even math, bro?
Apparently not. That public school education shining through.
So I've got one lingering question that you can help me figure out here. I just
one?
just a personality thing in terms. So one of the folks that was on the roster the last time I saw the show that I'd met before, and he's actually been a guest of the station. It sounds like there's, unless I'm getting people confused, there's a plethora of folks with Irish names. The Sheik's cohort included
Angus
McDuff. When I met him, he seemed like a decent chap. What happened to cause him to fall in line with the Sheik's group?
As the great Ted DiBiase once said, everybody has a price. And Sheik has plenty of money to go around. So Angus, being the drunken mercenary that he is, decided to take that money, get drunk some more, and then he just kind of follows Sheik around as a little lapdog. So, I mean, that's what he tends to do here. I think there's a good guy somewhere in that. It's just I don't know where that good guy is. Hopefully it comes out soon, because honestly, I like the guy. Drinking and fighting, I mean, I can get all behind that. I mean, I am the king of the dad bods after all. So everyone knows a keg's better than a 6-pack anyway. So hopefully there's a good guy there, but right now he's just kind of another douchebag.
Okay, yeah, that was sad to see that he did that. So
He was on hand yesterday for the meet and greet, and he
Yeah.
seemed very pleasant.
we didn't talk
Yeah.
about that yet. We're actually running out of time here, but
We
just
are.
kind of quick.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've almost killed an hour.
That goes pretty quick.
Did you guys had a meet and greet at Inman's yesterday,
Yes.
just to kind of prep for this show? How did that go?
It went pretty well until Sean decided to put his hands on me. I'm really getting tired of that. So, he didn't want the dancing. He didn't want the singing, John Francis. I've shot a couple videos on him, and one of them included me playing the guitar better than him. He didn't want that John Francis. He didn't want the joking around John Francis. He wanted the serious one. So he's got it now, and I'm going to have to kill him. But so it went pretty well, though. So we got to meet some really cool fans. Shout out to Jordan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jordan, who has
Young
never
man.
been to a wrestling show, but decided to hang out with us all night. And hanging out with us, bunch of idiots, is always a privilege, I'm sure. So shout out to Jordan for putting up with us for so long. We hope to see you at the show.
And some of the ladies from I'm not sure what high school they were coming from. I want to say
Yes.
it's Portage.
Yes.
One of them is actually
one
like
of their
a-
state champs.
Yeah,
One of their wrestling state champs was there,
Nice.
and
I
bonded
don't-
pretty
I kinda-
closely with the fabulous Breezy Van
I did not catch
Buren.
her
So we did not catch her name. That's unfortunate. But state champion of wrestling in this area. I mean, that's got to be narrow it down at least a little bit.
Probably.
So shout out to her as well. But yeah, it went pretty well. We love Inman's. We love Inman's to death. It's a great place to have a show. Yeah, I mean, it went great. It went
Fantastic
absolutely
people,
great.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and they're so cool with what they let us idiots do in there. I mean, it's again, shout out to Sean. I mean, we can't do it without him, and it's fantastic.
Absolutely. So much thanks
Fantastic.
goes to him and the whole Inman's family.
Oh,
for,
absolutely, absolutely.
Just all the cooperation and help and support that they provided us, and we're just trying our best to try and give it back to them and try to encourage people to come on out. It was interesting. I was out and about in Valpo before the meet and greet and got to meet a number of people out in the downtown area, different businesses out there. We were out there for Lakefront Paws. We were having our puppy kissing booth.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun. A puppy with puppy breath.
Yep.
And sorry, I'm a really big
We have a
animal
dog from
lover.
Lakeshore Paws.
Aw. Like Lakeshore. Did I say Lakefront or did I say Lakeshore? I say it
You
right?
said Lakeshore.
You said Lakeshore.
Okay.
You're good.
So Lakeshore Paws, they were out there, and hopefully at some point we can maybe do something with them, help promote their cause, because there are a number of...
If nothing else, go out there and adopt a dog from Lakeshore.
Yeah,
Paws, 'cause
absolutely.
that is a great foundation
Yeah,
over there.
the puppies that they had yesterday were, I think, either 250, they were between 250 and 400 that came with all their shots. I think they came with a lot of their meds if they had any. If they came with food, and it came with like either a voucher or like I think some of it might got reimbursed or something like that if you took them to get spayed or neutered. When they were old enough for it, because I'm pretty sure the puppy that we were passing around yesterday was not old enough to be spayed. But she was so darling, and we almost got rid of our cat this morning just so we can make room in the house for.
No, we didn't. When did that happen?
It's the royal we, I think.
Oh, I see.
We had a friend over, and she was hanging out with our cat. Like, oh,
You can just take her. No, she can't.
I'm going to
then
keep
we
pitching.
have room for another one.
I'm going to keep pitching this idea until it sticks with somebody. But talking about setting up an event to help, raise money for Lakeshore Paws. When it's warm out, you know how baseball teams have Bark at the Park, where people can bring their dogs to an event.
Yep.
Have an outdoor wrestling show
That'd be
as a
awesome.
fundraiser
Bring your dogs,
for a
yeah.
shelter, and people get to bring their dogs.
Well,
And I've thought about that. I've wanted to reach out to the people at Lakeshore Paws because we've briefly talked about it, having wrestlers come out with dogs that kind of match their personalities. Mad Dog Jack can come out with a pit bull. I can come out with a German Shepherd. Sean McLeod can come out with a French Poodle. All that kind of different stuff. Or what's a really annoying small dog that really can't do anything? Chihuahua?
Pekingese.
Pekingese. Yeah, that's what Sean should come out with, a little Pekingese.
I don't want to insult anyone who is a small dog lover. I personally am not a fan of them, but they're all puppies to me. So
If I can put it over the fence, it's not a dog.
don't punch over the fence.
I'm just saying if I could. I'm not saying I would.
All right, so
Yeah.
just
We're
to,
gonna
to kind
have
of
animal abuse now.
get this wrapped up
Go
here,
on.
because
Yeah.
it is approaching 10. So remind everybody that we've got PRW Love and War this coming
Absolutely.
Saturday, February
Fair.
22nd. Doors at Inman's Bowling and Recreation Center. Doors at 6:30. Card starts at 7.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time for everybody. I do know that before we came on the air, we'd talked about giving a couple of plugs
Yes.
for folks. So we'll do that now. And I know one of the things that the plug had to do with the PRW theme song.
Yes.
And instead of scrambling to try to rig that up at the moment, what I'll do is, if you can get me a sound file or a link to a sound file, when I edit this show to put it up on YouTube, I'll stick the theme music
Oh,
in
excellent.
Awesome.
there, either at the beginning or at the end, so people can listen to it
Excellent.
when you're
Excellent.
to go along with the information that I believe you're going to provide.
Yes.
Okay.
Link plug wise for.
Yes, so the band is Escape the Paradigm. Their lead singer, Brandon Brodzinski, and you got to give me the names of the other guys.
I don't have
You
them in
gotta
front of me
pull
right
that
now.
up.
Nope, it's not coming up.
Oh, God, I can't remember the name. But all three of the members have been absolutely fantastic to us, letting us use their music to promote ourselves along with promoting them. And they have a big show coming up.
March 15th.
March
March
14th.
14th.
March
March
14th at the Art Theater in Hobart. You can get tickets for $10 right now on Eventbrite. It's amazing. They are an amazing band. Every time I've gone to one of their shows, it has been an absolutely amazing time, an absolute blast. They are a good rock band, a good heavy hitting hard rock band. So they are a lot of fun to listen to. And again, their song "Going Down" is our theme song as of right now. That is off their album "Mistaken." And they have another one coming at some point, I think, but
I don't have a date for that.
I don't get to be privy to that information. I'm not a member of the band. Brandon, you need to let me know when you're dropping that album.
Just really looking forward to it.
And send a copy to WVLP.
Yes, absolutely.
Immediately. So yeah, please go support them because they are an amazing band. We also have one more plug.
Well, I was going to say some more information about that. It was Johnny Rockwood and
That's
Donnie
it.
Hoover, drums and bass respectively, March 14th.
There you
Holbrook
go.
Art Theater, $10 ticket at Eventbrite.
Sorry, Donnie and John.
From Raptor Rex Recordings Showcase.
Yes.
Okay, and like I said, I'll put in that audio at
Awesome.
the beginning and or end of this when I put it up on YouTube, as long as they promise not to send a YouTube strike toward me.
You should be fine there.
The other ones you can see the fabulous Breezy Van Buren as Coca Mocha Latif.
Yes, Coca Mocha Latif at
their
Coca's Crazy Cabana
Party
Yeah.
on March 21st.
At the Coca.
No, it's not going to be at the Coca. It's going to
Oh.
be at the rear end at Dick's Are You Crazy?
Hammond.
It is in Hammond, Indiana. It is a female impersonator show.
Drag queen.
And they are the queen, as it were.
Yeah.
They will be hosting, I believe, the show itself.
Yeah.
As well as all of the other female impersonators who will be there on hand. It's a fantastic time.
Yeah,
Starts at 10 o'clock.
I went to my
So-
first drag show because of Coca, and I will say it is one of the funnest times I've ever had. They put on a great show. They put in a lot of work, and they put on a great show for you. So please go check that out at Dick's Are You Crazy?
Supporting local art.
Absolutely.
And the fact that Breezy Van Buren is one of those people, if you have not noticed while you were there, that, and it was interesting too at the meeting, it's the same thing. Like, just everyone just is gravitated towards them. It's just their personality, their appearance, their very energy, I think, just screams like love and live life, I guess the best way to describe it to me. And that resonates so well with people that even when they're not experiencing victory, people are still cheering. People want to see them, being successful and want to party with them. So is one more reason of trying to encourage the participation.
Yeah,
So,
and just
everything
a little more
information?
info. Did we go with the time and everything?
I think I mentioned it was at 10 p.m.
Yeah, 10 p.m. It's an $8 cover. We
Okay.
just got some of the information here. So bear
Hot
with
off
me
the
here.
presses.
Hot. So we have not only Coca Mocha Latif, but it will also be featuring queens like Mikey Dela Cruz, the Jace of Spades, Sticky Buns, and I'm not even going to try this name. I'm not even going to try. You can feel free to butcher that one. I will not.
Androgenique in Inman.
There it is. That'll
That's what
work.
it is.
I would.
Nobody knows any different.
I would have
right?
absolutely destroyed that name. I wasn't even going to try.
All right.
But yeah, please
Breezy
go
is
support
our-
this local art. We're big fans of supporting smaller businesses, local art, whatever it is. Drama is just dying. It's like there's not as much passion for the drama and theater and expression of yourself nowadays. So we try to make sure that as many places as we can go support, we absolutely go support, because this stuff is important. It's important to have entertainment in your life. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, and also Breezy, as I know we've had one gender fluid individual in Kindle Fire be the PRW Ladies Championship. Ladies champion. Fabulous Breezy is actually the first transgender.
Phantasm. Phantasm.
And okay, so yeah, there's that. My mistake, trying to confuse everybody. But then there's the Fabulous Breezy Van Buren is the first transgender. And as I know, because we are technically, and I've still never actually quite gotten clear.
Unfortunately, that's not true. I
What's
know
that?
where you're going. The first, are you
On
talking?
television? Or is that
Yeah.
not- we're not. That's not it.
AEW beat us to it.
Oh, did they? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Nyla Rose just became the champ, which
Well, I
congratulations.
thought we were on at some
to
point,
them.
but we might still. It may not be current.
we were the first one with it who was gonna be on TV, so
well, they're doing
I'm
theirs live,
holding on to
so.
that.
They're the first one with a plan.
Yeah, we had the plan.
Theirs is live. Ours is
They beat us by a month or two.
Yeah, ours is not. But we are on. I don't know. That's the problem though. Is that we haven't picked up by other television stations.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually outside of the area where we can physically watch them.
Yeah.
So
local
I think it's
Chicagoland.
They're playing
LA.
in Chicagoland, LA, and New York.
Yep.
And this is probably one of those situations where it's less important to worry about who is first and the fact that it's happening twice.
Yes.
No, yeah, that's really the important
Yeah.
thing is that this has to be more inclusive because there's a big stigma around wrestling I've seen lately with a lot of toxic masculinity and stuff like that. So we like to make sure that everyone's included, especially in PRW. It's a very inclusive roster. We don't judge based on that. So,
and given that so many people who do come, and we talked about this a little bit before the show, as far as people who come in and participate as wrestlers, it's an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sense of belonging that is definitely felt by the family of people who are making up that group and wrestling. That is not necessarily something that they're getting someplace else.
no.
And that maybe for lots of reasons, and that can very much include part of that is trying to figure out your identity,
Yeah.
sexuality,
Absolutely.
or any other form of aspect of your identity for that matter. It's rough out in these streets. So, especially for kids, I think coming up maybe more so now than before, but maybe just in a different way. But that definitely, I feel like, is part of it. And maybe that's also why someone like that, like Breezy, is so incredibly over.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, though, Breezy, if you ever come after my title, I will have to put you down. But I support
Hey,
you in all
business
that
is
you do
business.
over in the women's division. You can just stay over there. That's fine.
All right. Well, that's a good note to wrap up on. We've actually gone over here, which is good.
Not always a bad thing, right?
Not a bad thing. That's I mean, the nice thing about WVLP is it's a little more informal, and we don't have sponsors to adhere to and commercial breaks and things. So if something like that happens, it's okay. We can go with it. So one last time, next Saturday, February 22nd, Inman's Bowling and Recreation Center, doors at 6:30, bell time 7, Project Revolution Wrestling's Love and War. Come watch John Francis regain the PRW heavyweight champion from Sean McLeod. Now,
I knew I liked this
in all fairness, I do have to say I sure I believe everything you say, but the conversation has been a little one-sided.
Yes.
So maybe next time, like before your next show or after this one, maybe I can have Sean in to see what his
if
take
he can
on
find
things.
time in his busy schedule
Yeah.
to come in and actually do some work instead of being a part-time wrestler, then absolutely, we would have loved to have Sean on your show.
All right.
In all fairness, that's my role in trying to maintain neutrality. Sean was able to make it out for the meet and greet yesterday, and be able to do some of the pictures and autographs of fans. It is a lot, being the PRW heavyweight champion, so it's understandable sometimes they're not always able to make it to everything, but hopefully they will be able to come out for next time. So if they're still the PRW heavyweight champion.
All right.
They won't be.
If you need more information about PRW, check out Facebook, Project Revolution Wrestling. There is a Facebook event page for just search PRW Love and War. You'll land right on it.
Absolutely.
So there's no reason not to be there next weekend.
Nope. Not at all.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys both for coming in,
Thank you for
spending
having
this
us.
time.
Absolutely, anytime.
And we'll do it again.
I look forward to
Absolutely.
it. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
All right. You're listening to WVLP here, 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. And it's time for me to shush and turn you back over to regular WVLP programming. Professional wrestling talk is not regular WVLP. Believe it or not, it's...
No, you don't say.
I say.